We're on a 25-mile stretch of the Appomattox River. We're in the Tri-Cities region, which is the cities of Petersburg, Colonial Heights, and Hopewell. And what's really special about this stretch of river is it is a designated scenic river, which means we have historic assets, we have natural beauty, and it's a really special place and a lot of great habitat.
In the city of Richmond, 2 million people are going to the James River Park system every year. It's only about 300 acres, and it's becoming overpopulated in many ways. And Petersburg, just 30 minutes down the highway, has such similar and immense beauty, and the trail network is now developing. And I think it'll become explored and experienced by many more people. But the reality for the local community is here in Ettrick, where we are, there aren't many public parks. In fact, only about a third of the community could walk to a public park from their home. Opening up the riverfront and the trail will open it up to more residents in Ettrick, and more particularly, Virginia State University that is directly across the road.
So we are really at the bottom of the river from the Virginia State University campus, and we have so many students who come use this river and this spot right here. I've actually been on campus and I actually help co-teach a class, and so many students talk about how important this area is, especially their freshman year. We have a free little library in partnership with a sorority on campus, and a lot of students who come out and use this as a learning lab. We have partnered with the James River Association to do some mussel planting, so we have some new resources going in downriver. You can see this is just great habitat for birds, for fish. Most of our dams have been open, so we do have fish passage on the river. Protecting those buffers and making better water quality is important, not just for our local citizens, but as we flow down to the Chesapeake Bay. We can have both. We can have this land protected, we can open it to the public, but it's also providing great benefits to the environment at the same time. We are sitting right above the falls of the Appomattox River, and the falls of the Appomattox River is why the city of Petersburg exists. This is as far as the boats could come for commerce in the 1700s, and a canal system was built from the falls all the way past Farmville, and that canal system took goods back and forth between the state. Petersburg was actually one of the biggest cities in Virginia at its time, in its heyday.
The Appomattox River is called the Appomattox River largely because there was a tribe that located along the river called the Appomattox tribe. They were part of the Powhatan Confederation of Nations. They had started closer towards where the Appomattox and James River meets, but as English colonialists came and settled, they were forced further and further west. In fact, right where we are, behind my right shoulder here, is a place that the colonial settlers called Fort Henry. Fort Henry, it was the border wall. They made all the indigenous native people show papers in order to get into the colonially controlled areas. So this particular place was an important dividing line between those who lived here before the settlers and the settlers.
This was very industrial. So where we're sitting now, actually in the 1800s, was lined with mills on both sides of the river. The river itself and the canal system is very important to our history. The mill right here, the Battersea Mill, made cotton, and it actually was very significant during the Civil War and actually produced a lot of goods for the Civil War effort. We have a canal system on both sides of the river, and we still have a functioning canal and mill race on the north bank that operated the mills on both sides. So if you can imagine, we really are in the industrial corridor of the 1800s. All those buildings are gone, and now nature has come back, and it's amazing to be able to open this to the public.
Anyone who's ever visited the river and paddled on its waters or fished from its banks or walked through the woods knows how special it is. And I think that kind of naturally lent itself to a coalition of community members as well as leaders who really saw its value and its scenic beauty and its recreational potential and wanted to pursue a project which would help provide access to that river.
Really about 20 years ago is when the Friends of the Lower Appomattox River was formed out of a regional process, and we really started planning to build this trail system. So the property we are sitting at now was owned by a gentleman named Josh Greenwood. and he stewarded this property for many years as a private citizen.
Josh used the canal system, used the power of the river, and he created a hydroelectric power station. The county had really eyed this property for a public park for about 40 years. At one point, they even leased a portion of the land from Josh and had it as a park, and then that was suspended. Josh at one point thought of developing it for condominiums and retail, and ultimately the Capital Region Land Conservancy started to talk to him where others had not been successful, and we were able to negotiate the acquisition of the property.
His wish really was to open this to the public. So we partnered with the Virginia Outdoors Foundation and the Capital Region Land Conservancy to get funding to acquire this property.
It came at a cost of $2.4 million for 40 acres along the Appomattox River here. We worked with Chesterfield County, who had some county funds available, but they didn't have all the money to pay for it. So the Capital Region Land Conservancy worked with a lot of different stakeholders and partners to fundraise. We were successful in getting grants from the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation. We also were successful in getting 2 grants from the Virginia Outdoors Foundation.
Chesterfield County now owns the land behind me, and they have a master plan to put more boating access on the river, to continue to develop the trail and open this whole section up as a public park. Now you're seeing we're starting to pave sections of trail, and that paved section really gives more access to more people. People in wheelchairs can use this trail, people with strollers, any kind of mobility issue, we can get out on the trail now and you can experience the river in a different way.
I think what's special about the ART and its vision is just that it's not only a destination, but it's a journey. And it gives you the opportunity, once it's fully completed, to travel through 6 different jurisdictions and really enjoy those recreational options that only a river can provide.
We still have more properties that we need to acquire and open to the public. We have several projects underway with VDOT right now that are fully funded that will continue to pave the trail, build new parking lots, new trailheads, and we have a grant with DCR right now also to improve more park assets.
We need volunteers. Friends of Lower Appomattox River has regular invasive plant removal days where they get volunteers to come out and remove the invasive species. Right now, looking into this camera, I see about 12 different species that are not native to Virginia. And frankly, there's no animal that uses it as a host or uses it for a food source. And so it really provides no benefit, and it just continues to grow and take over.
FOLAR is a totally community-supported organization. We were all volunteer run for about 10 years, and now we have 4 paid staff working on the program, but volunteers are core to our effort. We have a volunteer board who leads our vision and our fundraising, and we also have hundreds of volunteers who come out to the trail on weekends. They're taking care of the river, picking up trash, and they're just so important to our efforts day to day, keeping this trail open to everybody.
Whether it's to remove invasive species, whether it's to help pick up litter, whether it is to help maintain just a clear right-of-way, is great ways for the public to engage.
We always would love to have more people get involved with FOLAR and the Appomattox River. You can become a member. We do count on everyday people donating to keep our doors open and keep these efforts going. There's many efforts to get out on the trail if you want to be outside doing volunteer work, or we have indoor volunteer work also to help keep the operations going.
If you don't have the time to engage, donate to the Friends of the Lower Appomattox River. Donate to the Capital Region Land Conservancy. Donate to the local charity that is helping to support the things that are important to you. And if the river and the trail is important, then support those organizations that are making it a reality.